Originally, this video was part of a Udemy marketing course, but I've decided to make it available to you for free right here on YouTube. There are a few questions that I get asked again and again, and one of those is, what software do I use? This is lecture 3.17, software. Let's start off with a biggie. This is the one that I use to build my websites. The software is called Rapidweaver. If memory serves, it's around $125 or so it's not outrageously expensive. And all the software, all the websites, that I build inside Rapidweaver, I use a plugin called Foundation. You'll want to Google Joe Workman. He has a small studio in San Francisco, maybe 5 people or so. However, you can use any software you want. Here is what I look for in software. First is the ability to create tags. Here's a tag for Facebook, another to tell the search engines to follow all the pages, go everywhere, and something called schema. It's covered in another video briefly, and then of course a location tag. So all of this, and you'll want something called alt tags also to do, and of course keywords and description tags. So the ability to do tags is important. Another thing I always make sure to do is to have a sitemap. This particular software will create a sitemap for me. So SEO is terribly important, and it's going to help us rank well. In my chosen keyword, tourism marketing tips, we'll see worldwide, not adjusted for location. I rank 3rd and then 18th for webcams, and went down 9 positions for tourism websites there. So I know that this particular software will actually do what I want it to do and will help me rank, not just in my community, but all around the world. Let's go ahead and have a look at what the site looks like online. This is called a Parallax, and notice how the photograph moves at a different speed than the graphics on top of it. You'll notice a sticky menu bar, and obviously I want them to take action, and you'll notice 4 boxes here. I'll come back to that in just a minute. Under the 4 boxes we have a ribbon. Now the reason why I bring that to your attention is because many folks are going to look at your website on mobile, and it's important that your software really know how to handle mobile. You'll notice that parallax effect is gone. That's because cell phones are not as powerful computers as desktops or laptops are. And when we scroll down, now we're going to find that there are only 3 of our little boxes, and our ribbon has disappeared. I did that because I don't really need people to go down and read all this text. What I want is for them to come up here and take action. So the software is called Rapidweaver, and inside Rapidweaver I use something called Foundation by Joe Workman, and I think you'll find at a reasonable price it's fairly powerful software. Of course, once you've built your website, you're going to want to know how it's doing with on-site SEO. For our next bit of software, we'll visit a new website. This is called TrekYards. It's one that I did for a YouTube channel a couple months ago, so it's fairly new. And this piece of software is called SEO Checker, and it happens to be free on the App Store right now. I'm sure it's also available on the Play Store. There's several things I'd mention to you. One is most of this software has scores, and you don't need to get terribly excited about the scores. I can tell you why. One example here, they count keywords towards your overall score. Well, the problem with that is that Google pays absolutely no attention whatsoever to keywords anymore. But it is good. It helps you check for things that that maybe you hadn't considered before. Here, page speed's important. Once again, remember what I was saying about mobile versus desktop, and see that big graphic on the desktop site is missing from the mobile site. Usability, user experience is important to me, and so this is a good way to check your website after you've finished building it to just make sure you haven't missed anything. However, we're going to pretend that maybe you're a little more experienced. Screaming Frog SEO Spider. That's an excellent piece of software. I looked up BBC because I knew that they would have pretty much everything. Meta description, we go over those tags in a different video. H1 tags, you can see that they do all of that. Site structure, lots and lots of pages, but you only have to go 3 clicks deep to go anywhere in the site. So this particular piece of software has a lot of information, and it doesn't have to be on your website. You can crawl anyone's website and try to get an idea of what they're doing right, what you like, and maybe some things that you've missed that perhaps you should have. It's called Screaming Frog SEO Spider. Now, I want to tell you about another one. This one is called SEO Pinger, and it's another one that's a freebie from the App Store. I'm sure Google Play has the same thing for a Windows machine. And all you do is enter the keywords or what your page is about, the actual web page address, and click the ping button. It will go to all of the search engines and ping them for you, and it'll tell you what search engines, what places it's pinged, and the results of what it tried to do for you. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, let's say you're going to have a special next month and you built a website for this holiday coming up next month, and you've got a page with the specials and the discounts. Well, if they go to the sitemap, remember I mentioned sitemap a few minutes ago, well, maybe there'll be a week going to the sitemap, and maybe it'll be another week before it uploads. Well, you want this to happen right away, and this is good SEO Pinger for a site that you want Google to know about almost immediately. Now I want to tell you about the most important piece of software you have for website design, and that's your browser. But there's uses for the browser that maybe you haven't considered. For example, when you build a website or take your company website, do you go look at it again and again? Oftentimes, I meet small business people who believe that their website is ranked number 1 in their particular keyword category, only discover it is number 31. Why? Because all the search engines want to help you by finding your website, the one that you click on again and again, and ranking it number 1 for your convenience. That way you can find it. They're trying to help you. But of course, you don't want help. You want to know where the website ranks for people who have never seen your site before. So there's something I want you to do. Go back to Google, to your settings, and tell Google not only to forget your history, your past websites, but also to not record your future browsing. So there are 2 places you want to go to tell Google not to remember you anymore. Forget your browsing history. The next thing I want you to do is to go download one of the other browsers, a different brand than the one you're using now. Say if you're using Firefox, get Chrome, and only use Chrome to search for websites. Don't ever click on a website, just enter the keywords you're looking for and go look to see where the website you're interested in is currently ranking. That way, your website browser will have no cache and no particular history to go by. You will be getting an accurate look at how you are ranking for any given website. Next up, I want to show you what graphics software I use. But before we get into this, there's something important I want to say. You really need to know how to use your software to the maximum in order to get your full benefits of whether it's a $30 piece of software you downloaded or you have the full Photoshop CS suite. You really can't get much out of it unless you've spent a week worth of evenings learning how to use the software. By the way, speaking of Photoshop, I'll start with this one first. This is called Photoshop Elements, and it's about $120 or so if you buy it off the internet from Adobe, and oftentimes they have different sales and things. But like its big brother, Photoshop Elements has layers and you can turn things on and off. We have a full suite of effects that we can apply to different elements inside a particular image. So Photoshop Elements, I'm going to guess it'll do about 2/3 of what you could do in the full Photoshop suite. And by the way, for the average website, that may just be plenty. Here's the software that I use all the time. It's called Pixelmator. Unfortunately, it is Mac only. As you can see, it still has all of the layers and things. It also has a large number of different filters, and I can apply filters and effects to an image. This will do, I don't know, I'm going to guess about 90% of what you can do in Photoshop. But once again, unless you can push Photoshop to the 90% mark, it doesn't really matter. So this is an excellent piece of software, I believe about $35, and I would recommend that. There's another thing that you can do if you have a little skill, and you can create things in 3D that you can't do in Photoshop. And this is very cool indeed. This particular bit of software is called Carrera Pro. There are other versions of it. One is called 3D Max, one is called Maya. 3D Max, for example, is $1,470 a year just for a subscription. So this runs under $300. And the reason why I use Carrera over some of the other things is because look at how much is pre-made for me. I can use an entire planet pre-made if I would like, and it also has all kinds of objects. If I want a jet plane, I can have one without having to spend hours building my own. These are called shaders, and I can take a piece of heavy blue crystal glass and put it right there if I would like to. And so that's very handy because all of this is done in advance for me. Now I want to make you aware of another piece of software called Blender. Blender is very good and it's free. You can download it from the internet. I've used Blender. The reason why I use Carrera Pro on most little projects is because so much of it is pre-done for me. I find that I can work much faster, and really that actually trumps free in my particular case. That's going to do it for this tourism marketing tip. I hope you learned something, and if you did, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also get a hold of me on the website with any other questions, and we have another video for you. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.